Hi everyone, welcome to GKToday's Banking Awareness course. Today we are going to study about the nationalization of banks in the 1960s to 80s. And this is the module 5 of the whole course. And if you haven't watched our previous 4 modules, they are in the playlist Banking Awareness on our channel. And I hope you all have gone through the articles that were posted, links to today morning. If you haven't, I really suggest that you go through it before going through this quiz. Let us begin. Which of these banks was nationalized in 1969? And your time starts now. And the correct answer is United Bank of India. So there were 14 banks which were initially nationalized in 1969, and these were Central Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Dena Bank, Punjab National Bank, Syndicate Bank, Canara Bank, Bank of India, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Bank of Baroda, UCO Bank, Union Bank, Allahabad Bank, and the United Bank of India. A few more banks were also nationalized later on in 1980s, which we'll get to through this quiz. Which nationalized bank was merged with Punjab National Bank in 1993? Correct answer is New Bank of India. New Bank of India was merged with Punjab National Bank in 1993. Now, New Bank of India was nationalized in 1980 and later merged in 1993. The only other nationalized bank which merged with another and was not a state bank associate was Bharatiya Mahila Bank, which was merged with State Bank of India in 2017. Who was the Prime Minister of India when banking nationalization was done in 1969? And the correct answer is Indira Gandhi. So what is the summary that you must remember about nationalization? The first phase happened in 1969 by Indira Gandhi government. The second stage happened in 1980. Now, in 1969, it happened via the Banking Companies Ordinance, which was followed by an act of the same name. And why was this done? This was done because private banks became unreliable and the public wasn't trusting them and not storing their money in banks. So in order to get the public to trust them the way they trusted the government, banks were nationalized. When was the State Bank of India nationalized? Your time starts now. Correct answer is 1955. The State Bank of India is the first bank that was nationalized. It was then known as the Imperial Bank of India, and it was nationalized in July of 1955 via the SBI Act of 1955 and renamed as State Bank of India. Now these subsidiaries, you can see these are the subsidiaries of State Bank, the Bank of Mysore, the Bank of Bikaner, etc. So these were also nationalized and gradually merged into the State Bank by the SBI Subsidiary Banks Act of 1959. Which of these banks was not associated with the State Bank of India in 1959? Time starts now. We have just seen the list, and the only bank that was not in the list was State Bank of Patna, which is the correct answer. So the banks that did merge into SBI were the banks of Bikaner, Indore, Jaipur, Mysore, Patiala, Travancore and Hyderabad. So 7 banks. This is a fact that you have to remember. Why were banks nationalized in India? Your time starts now. And the correct answer is to provide the government of India more control of credit delivery. So there are a number of reasons for this. Immediately after independence, the government had adopted planned economy, and thus India embarked on a socialist path with the first 5-year plan launched in 1951. And one of the basic tenets of planned or socialist economy is social ownership of means of production. Further, The government had some social welfare schemes and needed banking sector support to fulfill those. And since private sector had monopoly over banks, the confidence of the people on banks was very low, and this was a big hurdle in expansion of banking in India. Thus, nationalization was seen as a remedy of many malices. This included banks under government would support the government to achieve its social welfare objectives by directing funds to needy sector of the economy. Monopoly of the private banks could be ended. Banking could be expanded into all parts of the country because of people's inherent confidence in the government. The banking sector reforms aimed at improving the confidence level of the public because in those days, most banks were not trusted by the majority of the people. Instead, the deposits with the postal department were considered rather safe because the postal department was under the government. Taking banks to villages would help bridge the rural-urban divide, and with nationalization, agriculture and allied activities could be given more funds. So these were all the reasons with which the government decided to nationalize banks. Which of these banks was nationalized in 1969? Time starts now. So remember those 14 banks that were nationalized? We have already revised twice. You should be able to answer this. And the correct answer is all of the above. All these three were part of the 14 banks that were nationalized in 1969. Let's see how many of you got this correct. If you didn't get this correct, then always, the moment you're done with this quiz, go back, revise the name of the 14 banks that were nationalized in 1969 and the 6 that were nationalized in 1980. It's very important to remember those names because questions like these are very common. How many banks were nationalized in 1980? Time starts now. This is a very easy one. We have done this and discussed this a few times over the course of this video. And the correct answer is 6 banks. So what are these 6 banks? They are Punjab and Sindh Bank, Vijaya Bank, the New Bank of India, which was later merged into Punjab National Bank in 1993, Oriental Bank of Commerce, Corporation Bank and Andhra Bank. How many banks were nationalized in 1969 under the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings Ordinance 1969? So this, I don't think you guys need a time to discuss this. This is very easy. We have discussed this many a times. So I've already provided the graphics and the correct answer is of course 14. In which year the second round of bank nationalization was done? And your time starts now. This again we have discussed a few times. And the correct answer is 1980. The 6 banks were nationalized, among which New Bank of India was merged into Punjab National Bank. That's all for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like and share. And always subscribe to our channel GK Today to be notified about all the videos and courses that we'll have up very soon. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.